What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sofa Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Jewell, joined again with Alex. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Ready to get into this part two. In today's episode, Alex and I are going to be ranking all the NFC quarterbacks. Same tier list as last time. If you missed the AFC tier list rankings, it's out now on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you want to listen. So please make sure to check that out. Going from MVP at the top all the way down to defensive coordinator's dream, ranking all these quarterbacks. We got the rookies in there as well. Kind of going off what we expect to happen next season, putting a little bit of the past stuff in there, but also just what we expect next season with new weapons based off the draft, all that kind of stuff. So let's just get right into it, starting off with Sam Darnold, who we expect to be the starter for the Minnesota Vikings. They did draft J.J. McCarthy, but we expect Sam to start the season. We haven't seen him recently. We heard really good things. The 49ers, maybe they were just throwing smoke out there trying to get somebody to trade for him last season, but they were talking that he was maybe the best quarterback on their roster. We didn't know if Brock Purdy was going to start or be healthy. Ended up Brock Purdy was amazing, played the entire season, so we didn't even see Sam Darnold out there. Massive weapons, though. Amazing roster. He's going to pop in there. I think he could be in that game manager level. I think he could be better than we've seen him in the past. What do you think?
I I thought we were starting off in the bottom tier with defensive coordinator's dream. I mean, you saw what he did with the Jets when he was a starting quarterback. Granted, beginning of his career, he goes to San Francisco, works with arguably the best quarterback coach in the league. He can, get production out of practically anybody, right? They take Mr. Irrelevant and starts leading them to Super Bowls, right? So, um, I think in Minnesota it might be a little bit of a different story. I'm not saying it's going to be Jets level uh, horrific gameplay, but I definitely I definitely could see this, you know, taking a turn for the worst, and then JJ being the starting quarterback as we get towards the tail end of the season, or at least starting to get some play time. So, I would say bottom. I guess you want to try to meet in the middle with wild card here to start it off.
Yeah, I'm fine to meet in the middle. I might have overshot that one a little bit. I might have too high of hopes for him, and I do want to see JJ play. So the worse he plays, I think JJ would be a beast in this offense.
We can always make some adjustments as needed as we're going through this. Um, with the next quarterback, though, we got Jordan Love. I think this is complete opposite end of the spectrum here. I mean, absolutely lit it up last year in Green Bay, especially with a really young receiving core. A lot of guys that haven't proved it yet, and definitely felt like a lot of those guys were having a prove it type of year last year. So we'll see if they can continue the success and continue to build off of that. But you know, I'm not jumping the gun too much on this yet. I'll say that Jordan Love is a consistent playmaker, but I definitely could see by the end of the season us having him in the elite category because he was definitely showing some flashes and not showing a whole lot of not showing too many issues. Especially sitting there learning behind one of the best to ever do it in Aaron Rodgers for a few seasons to start off his career. I mean, I'm sure he picked up a lot of good stuff, and I could see the Packers actually being a bit of a sleeper team, and I could see them making a real playoff run this season.
Yeah, last year the run was magical because I don't think anybody expected it to be that good. They beat the Cowboys. They almost beat the 49ers, which was crazy. I think that Jordan Love had a shaky regular season last year, but I expect this season to be consistent and really good. I'd put him in the elite category, to be honest, because I think he will. I mean, he took no name wide receivers and an injured Aaron Jones, put together an amazing season. I think he could be up in that elite category, but for now, I'll put him a consistent playmaker because I think that's fair evaluation of what it will probably be. Next up, a guy that has been pretty consistent since landing with the Lions, Jared Goff. A lot of different thoughts. He's been really good. He's had some poor moments, but I think overall with the Lions, he's been a stud. They re-signed Amon Ra, so he's going to be there. The weapons are there at running back. I think that elite tier would be the right spot for Jared Goff.
Jared Goff in the elite tier. I feel like Jared Goff is the new age Joe Flacco, whereas is he elite? That is the question.
And
I don't know if I don't know if and I'm a huge Lions bandwagon fan. Hand up. I mean, I'm a bandwagon Lions fan through and through right now. I just don't know if I can put him in the elite tier. I don't know if I've seen the ability from him to be able to really carry them. Absolutely. He can make plays. He's not going to lose you the game, but I haven't seen the ability yet from him to really just be able to take over a game and really determine the outcome by himself. I think he's surrounded with some good talent. They got Sam Laporta, and I think that defense is really the heart and soul of that team. That Dan Campbell run defense, they are the ones that are going out there and setting the tone for the game, and then the offense is coming out doing what they have to do. But I really believe that the defense runs that team. I would put them just below elite and consistent playmaker because obviously in order to have a playoff run like that, in order to turn that franchise around like that, um, you have to be able to make some plays. I just don't know if I see the elite level talent from Golf.
obviously, I'm going to lean the elite way because I think it's a fair comparison. It's just like Joe Flacco. I mean, and I thought Joe Flacco was elite. Obviously, Joe Flacco did get a Super Bowl, and I don't know that we're going to see that from Jared Goff. I don't know. So I'm good to put him consistent playmaker. He did fall up short in the playoffs. They had a lead and they just let it go. Some people might blame that on Dan Campbell, but some blame does go to Jared Goff there. So consistent playmaker it is. Next up, the first overall pick, Caleb Williams to the Bears. The weapons are there. The potential is there. People are expecting a lot. Trevor Lawrence, people were expecting a lot. And in the last episode, we had him ranked pretty low. No spoilers here, but we had him ranked pretty low. Is Caleb ranked higher than Trevor Lawrence? What do you think about Caleb?
I think he's definitely got to be higher than Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Caleb Williams is going into one of the most quarterback friendly situations a number one overall pick could ever dream of, right? I mean, obviously you got JJ going to the Vikings and the most ideal quarterback situation possible, but for being a number one overall pick and you have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Roma Dunze as your three receivers, I mean, that's like all-star team level stuff. I mean, that's insane. So I think again, since this is a projective tier list, and I'm going to be talking about his performance this season, I might put him in elite just because he's got so many weapons around him. I mean, if if he's not putting up elite stats this year, I think it's a bit of a disappointment, honestly. He's supposed to be, Patrick Mahomes Jr., the next coming of just that crazy playmaker that can just make seemingly anything work. He can make plays out of nothing. And if you have all that receiving talent around you, can you imagine if Patrick Mahomes had two elite receivers and then one of the top wide receiver prospects coming out of the draft? I mean, that'd be the easiest three-peat of all time. So I might, take an unpopular opinion here, and I'll put Caleb Williams above Jordan Love, above Jared Goff into the elite category. What do you think?
I think above Jared Goff, on the same par, on the same course as Jordan Love. Game manager was my initial reaction, but the weapons are there. He is in a fantastic situation, and we are talking what we think is going to happen this season. If anybody's going to do it, if any of these rookie quarterbacks is going to do it, I think it's Caleb. I think it's Caleb. I think it's the offensive rookie of the year right there gets put into the elite tier. Yeah, you convinced me. You convinced me.
It's crazy to look at. It's a crazy graphic. So Matt Stafford up next. Obviously career is winding down some now. Um, Still has Puka Nakua, still has Cooper Cup. They got Tyler Higbee at tight end. So he still does have some talent around him. At this point, though, I think their Super Bowl window is definitely closed. I think they're going to be one of those fringe playoff teams this upcoming season. So, but Stafford himself still putting up good numbers. So I would put him in consistent playmaker tier.
I wouldn't mind seeing Matthew Stafford in elite. What he did last season with not a very good roster, and then they put it together and they went on a really good run. I expect them to just build off of that. I think Stafford still got it. He's still got a great arm. I think that he could be better than Jared Goff, better than Jordan Love as this tier list is starting to take shape. I'm trying to think, is he elite? Yes. Is he going to be better than Jared Goff and Jordan Love? I think so too. I see him as elite. I think he's going to be on that same level as Caleb Williams.
That's fair. I mean, he ranked fifth in PFF grade out of all the QBs last season. So, I mean, that's top five. That's elite level stuff. So, I'll agree with you on that. We can put him in the elite tier.
Next up, the game manager himself, as some have called it, Brock Purdy. Should be to 2 Super Bowls by now. Obviously got injured in that game against the Eagles a couple years ago. They lost, didn't make it to the Super Bowl. Get another chance. A lot of rumors out there, but he ends up playing the entire season. Goes to the Super Bowl, loses to the Chiefs. He is a special player. I think that you might want to toss him in the game manager role. A lot of people have called him that. I'd put him at MVP. I think he's phenomenal. I think he gets a bad label. I'd put him at MVP. I think he's up there at the top. I think he's a top two quarterback in the NFC easily. I'm serious. I'm 100% serious. I put him all the way up there.
I don't even.
No hesitation. MVP level easily.
I have a lot of hesitation for that. I was going to put him in game manager. I'm one of the people that thinks he's a game manager. I mean, you have Debo Samuel, Go Cox, who is a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, an offensive lineman, the way he's blocking out wide. I mean, like, insane level player. He's got Brandon Ayuk, who has turned into one of the top receivers in the league. Again, in a Kyle Shanahan offense, which is the most quarterback friendly offense that you can be a part of. I don't see how, I mean, if we're going to go based on production, sure, sure. I guess maybe. I guess I'm thinking more of just the pure talent. If you picked up Brock Purdy and plugged him into Denver's offense, if you plugged him into the Raiders offense, if you plugged him into the Colts offense, is he going to go out there and produce and lead the team to Super Bowls like he is in San Francisco? I don't even know if he gets into the playoffs. Um, I mean, he goes out there, he delivers the ball with accuracy. He can he can extend some plays with his legs here and there, but MVP, I mean, we think Brock is like a Lamar, like a Josh Allen. Like that's a crazy statement.
I
Um,
do. I'm serious. I'm 100%
how,
serious. I think he's in that
I'll meet
MVP.
you. I'll meet you in the middle at elite. I mean, that's leaning more towards the MVP side. I don't know if the NFC has an MVP caliber quarterback in it.
Wow. Okay. I'll meet you at elite. I mean, I think that that's fair. There's nowhere to meet in the middle because you're all the way down to game manager. I'm up at MVP. Go elite, I think is fine. I think he'll be top 5 in the running for MVP next season easily. I think that he could take the 49ers to the Super Bowl again. And I think if he does, I think that they come out on top. Unless they're playing the Ravens, I think that they come out on top. I, if you're good, I'm gonna put it in there at elite before you change your mind.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and do it before I change my mind because that might be happening sooner rather than later.
Next up,
Yeah, we got Geno Smith up next. Sorry, you're gonna have to excuse me. I just gotta wrap my head around the fact that I just agreed to put Brock Purdy in the elite tier. Um, Geno Smith is not going to be in the elite tier, and I hope that there's not an argument about that. Um, I think he's obviously one of those guys that just blossomed super, super late in his career. You almost never see anything like that. I think he put up some overall solid numbers. He's again one of those guys not going to necessarily go out and win you games every week. He's not going to lose you games every week. He can he's got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, who's like the ageless wonder. I don't I feel like he's been around forever. But over the last 3 seasons, really put up some solid numbers, and according to PFF, his PFF grade is improving every single season. Let's see, last year he had 20 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 1 touchdown on the ground. Just over 3,600 passing yards. I mean, to me, that screams game manager, right? I mean, a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. So, you know, that's where I would have him. What about you?
I'd probably have him a wild card, maybe even defensive coordinator's dream if I was feeling crazy.
Yeah, you're on one
Truthfully,
today.
I think if Gino's good, it's going to be because of the defense. I think the defense could be really good. New head coach. I've seen firsthand what he did to the Ravens defense, and I expect him to do the same to the Seahawks defense. So I think if they're good, it's because the defense is good. I don't think Gino has. I don't think game manager would be the absolute highest I'd go, but honestly, I think he could be on that same level as Sam Darnold. I'm serious right now. I'm not even messing with you. I don't really see it. 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio isn't anything crazy. Sam Darnold could probably do better than that, but I mean he's got good weapons too. I mean he's got a good running back. He's got good weapons. I mean pretty easy for him. So I know I've used weapons to help other guys move up, but I just don't see it with Gino.
Okay, go ahead. Put him in wild card then. This is insane. This is insane. I can't wait to see where you put Kyler. I'm gonna have Kyler in. Man, I don't know. It's a tough one. This really is a tough one because I wouldn't call him a game manager, right? But it's
No,
almost
Kyler's a
like
consistent
he
playmaker.
either has to be a playmaker or a wild card.
No, 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 no. Kyle's a consistent playmaker. This season, new weapon, Marvin Harrison. Kyler's going to be in that Jared Goff, Jordan Love level. The Cardinals are going to be good. He's going to be healthy all
Um,
season.
yeah, I mean, but who are we? Who are we talking about outside of MHJ? Right? Trey McBride,
He could have potential. I don't know.
Michael
Probably not,
Wilson.
but
Like, who are we talking about here? You got James Conner, sure, that's nice, but I mean, offensive line is horrendous too. Like, really not a good offensive line. I mean, obviously you got some younger guys, Paris Johnson Jr. Um, got Jonah Williams from the Bengals, who's solid at best, but um, you know, I, I I don't know. We're gonna have to. We'll see. I'll agree with you on the consistent playmaker though. That's fine. I don't have a problem putting him there. I definitely think that overall team success is a lot more likely with Jordan Love and Jared Goff, but I think I think Kyler Murray's just natural athletic abilities is what's carrying him up to that tier, not the surrounding talent.
yeah. And
Um, go ahead.
when he had um, DeAndre Hopkins, very good. I think now he's getting Marvin. I think that that's going to be kind of his replacement. I think he's going to put together a really good season. I kind of expect a lot from him. I mean, he's getting paid a ton of money, and I think he has a lot of potential. I think that maybe this is the season. I could see it being good for the Cardinals. I'm not talking playoffs, maybe a wild card. I'm not talking win the division, but I think it could be a good season for Kyler.
I could see it. Um, Next up, got one of my divisional rivals, Dak Prescott. Last season had more passing touchdowns than anybody in the league with 36. Had 9 interceptions though, which was right in the middle, tied for 16th. Over 4,500 passing yards. He did have 2 more touchdowns with his legs, so total of 38 touchdowns. Um, when you're throwing to CD Lamb, that's going to be a big help. I mean, outside of CD Lamb, his tart, his weapons weren't nearly as strong as they have been in some previous years, and he still went out and had himself a career season. Like, I really think overall he I would put him in the elite tier, fringe MVP tier, unfortunately. I mean, I think the thing that's going to keep him out of the MVP tier for me is the fact that he is guaranteed every single season to go out and lose you at least one game. He is going to have a 4 interception game at some point throughout the course of the season, and he is going to absolutely blow your mind in the worst way possible. Um, so I can't put him in the MVP tier for that. Also, because just like every other Cowboys franchise or Cowboys team in the last like 2 decades, uh, they have absolutely no success in the playoffs whatsoever. You know they're going to choke every single year. It's a given. So for that reason, I cannot put him in MVP. Uh, he's a regular season MVP, but we're talking about as a full body of work. I'll have to put him in elite. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you mentioning him and the MVP tier together is a little wild of you. I would put him a lot lower than that. I might put him in somewhere in the middle of game manager and wild card. Last season, he fixed the interception problem. The interceptions were way better. He only threw 9, like you said. Then they get to the first round of the playoffs against an inexperienced playoff team in the Packers, and the Packers 27-7 at halftime. The Packers were blowing them out. 48-32, the Packers win, and it was only that close because the Cowboys scored 16 points in the fourth quarter. So it wasn't even that close of a game. He can't get it done. He's really good in the regular season. It's like some quarterbacks are really good in the preseason, but they don't do anything in the regular season. He's good in the regular season. For the first couple weeks, he makes his bid for MVP. He'll do the same thing again this season, but by the time it's all said and done, people will be wondering, should Dak be the quarterback of the future for the Cowboys? The answer is no. No, he shouldn't be. Um, I would probably put him at game manager. That's probably where I would put him.
Well, then I say we meet in the middle at consistent playmaker. Then I think he, just because of the stats he puts up during the regular season, I think that he should be on that same level as Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Kyler.
I agree.
Um,
I agree.
Next up, though, we got Jalen Hurts from the Eagles. Obviously, last season took a bit of a step back, but still had a overall solid season. I think the big thing here that you have to realize is, as a pure passing quarterback, not really that special. Had 23 touchdowns to 15 interceptions last season. The reason why his stat line looks so much better is because of the 15 rushing touchdowns and just over 600 yards on the ground. So that takes his, you couple that with the 3,800 passing yards. He's putting up about 4,500 total all purpose yards throughout the course of the season, but it's really his rushing performance that takes him up so high. He had the third most interceptions out of any quarterback, which you can't turn over the ball like that and expect to win games deep into the season. So honestly, if we're gonna, if this is a quarterback tier list, not a running back tier list, I am tempted to put him in game manager. What do you think?
For what I expect to happen this season, they lose some weapons on the offensive line. Jason Kelsey's a weapon with the tush push. They signed Saquon Barkley. I would not be afraid to toss him up in the MVP level. I know you said his passing numbers aren't good, but he's got amazing receivers. I think the scheme's going to change a little bit without Jason Kelsey in there. I think he's going to get a lot of help from Saquon. So I think him overall, I think he's going to be in that MVP level. I think that they could easily win their division if he plays like we saw before, and I think he can. Your reactions are killing me. I can't believe we're so off on some of these.
AFC wasn't like this. I thought we were like really pretty close on a lot of stuff. This is insane, and it's not even like we're just one off either. So
I mean,
I don't know, dude. You're the one in control of this tier list. You put them where I've said my piece though. I've
you had
said
him
my
at game
piece. I don't
manager.
think I don't think we're gonna agree on this one.
You had him at game
I mean,
manager.
let's put him in one of the slots, right? I mean, the elite and consistent playmakers are stacking up. Either put him in elite or put him in game manager, though. But whew, man. I mean, I get it. I get it. If he has AJ Brown, he has Devonta Smith, he has weapons. So if he can maybe just like get them the ball and not the defense the ball so much, and then can continue putting up some solid rush numbers, yeah, that's an MVP level performance. But he's gotta reel it in a little bit and stop, forcing all these bad passes that are turning into interceptions. I mean, the third most in the NFL is, that's not a coincidence. That's a bad decision making. So he if he can improve on that, he can have an MVP level season. But I'm just not sure if that's what I see happening. But
I think it's a way better season than last year. But I understand where your hesitation comes from. Do we think he's on the same level as Caleb, Brock, and Matthew Stafford? Or do you think he's on the same level as Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, and Dak?
this whole tier list, this whole tier list is just so all over the place. Yeah, put it. You can do elite or MVP.
Elite or MVP?
You're the one with the mouse, man. You do your thing. You do your thing. So I guess there will be one.
There will be
at least one MVP caliber quarterback coming out of the out of the NFC after all.
It sure will. One that we might not have to debate, Daniel Jones. I would have him as defensive coordinator's dream. I know he has one weapon now, and Malik Neighbors, who seems absolutely ecstatic to be there. Everything shows that he's really excited. Just kidding. No, he's not. I would put him at the bottom. Where do you have Daniel Jones?
At the bottom. I'm glad we can finally agree on something.
That was an easy one.
Obviously, injury-riddled season this past season, but even when he was playing, he had 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. So like it's about as horrible as you could, possibly imagine. Good news for him is that he does pretty well on the run. He did have over 200 rushing yards through the few games that he did play this past season. So, I guess at least they have that to look forward to. That's not really exciting for Malik Neighbors, but yeah, no, he definitely belongs in defensive coordinator's dream. I would not be surprised to see them move on from him after next season. And then next, we have my new quarterback of the future, Jaden Daniels. Not trying to jump the gun or anything, but, we might have 2 MVP level quarterbacks. But I think for right now, until we see that, I mean, you saw what Joe Burrow did his rookie season coming out of LSU. Jaden Daniels just went and broke like all of Joe Burrow's records at LSU, and now he's coming in. He's got Terry McLaurin as a weapon. We brought in Zach Ertz. We also got Ben Sinnott out of K-State. So we've got some weapons stacking up now. I could definitely see him coming out and, having us be a fringe playoff team. So until he can prove it, though, I'd be willing to put him in game manager. I definitely don't think he's going to go out and have us with a top 5 pick like we had last season. I think we'll definitely be much more of a middle of the pack team. A team that people definitely actually have to, look out for. I think we might be able to sneak a few wins if some people are still trying to sleep on us, especially at the beginning of the season.
I told you I thought Jaden Daniels would be good right off the bat. I thought between Jaden Daniels, Drake May, I thought he had more potential right off the bat, and I think he's going to have a good season. I feel like Lamar's first season as a starter was amazing. It was MVP, and he reminds me of Lamar. Lamar's first season as a rookie, he played half a season, and he still took the Ravens to the playoffs. So I'm not against the Commanders going to the playoffs. Commanders winning the division might be a tough one, but the Commanders making it in as a 6th seed maybe would not surprise me. Kind of what I'm expecting. So if they don't, me as a non-Commanders fan, but Commanders fan for you, would be disappointed. I thought you were going to go even higher, and I'd be comfortable even going higher than game manager. I think he's going to be electric.
I mean, the way this whole tier list is going out, we might as well just throw him in elite, right? Elite MVP. We can put him in MVP. I mean, if this is supposed to be Lamar, all the comps are to Lamar Jackson. He came out, had an MVP caliber season his rookie year. Who says Jaden Daniels isn't going to do the same thing?
The weapons are there.
Heisman winner, just like Lamar too. I mean, the similarities are there.
Coordinator.
new offensive coordinator who, has produced a lot of great quarterback talent before, worked with Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray, who we have in the consistent playmaker, category there. So, and I think that Jaden Daniels' frame and athletic ability and arm talent is better than Kyler Murray anyways. So, I mean, why why not? This whole tier list is so scuffed anyways. Let's throw a rookie in MVP.
That means that we're saying Jaden Daniels for offensive rookie of the year. So take back what I said about Caleb earlier. I'm bought in. Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts. Well, we might have another MVP here actually, because I kind
It's
of
going to
forgot
age
about him
so well if
because
so
of
poorly.
all the things that happened in the draft with Michael Penix. I forgot about Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins could be up at that MVP level too with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson.
Yeah,
He
I
could
don't
be there.
disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I mean, Kirk has been one of those guys throughout the course of his career who can, go out and put up numbers, especially we've seen with the Vikings. When you surround him with good weapons, he can produce at a really high level. I think I would put him in the elite category.
I'm more comfortable with that too. I think that we're going to see flashes of really good and flashes of not as good, but I do think he takes the Falcons to the playoffs. I think elite's spot on. Next one that might be a tough one to figure out what's going to happen next season. Bryce Young, new head coach, got some help on the O line. Xavier Legette in the first round. Go Cox. Bryce Young though, last season was not good at all. C.J. Stroud, the second pick, outperformed him by miles. I know the situation's different teams and stuff, but for me, I would unfortunately put him with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more optimistic on Bryce Young than you. Not by a lot. I'm not going to go crazy, but I would say he's a wild card. I mean, again, this is supposed to be a projective tier list. And I think with the amount of money that the Panthers put into their offensive line to just try to give him some protection, also going out picking up some new weapons, namely Xavier Legette. Um, I think that he should be able to calm down a little bit. Hopefully go out there and make some more plays, because I think a lot of what we saw last season was, a quarterback running for his life on pretty much every play. And, after a while, you get worn down. You just got to get rid of it. You got to get the ball out of your hands. You can't take another hit, especially with his small frame. So I think, having a full season under his belt now, working with the new offense, having some more protection, having some more weapons, I think we could see a little bit more consistency out of him. I think he might be able to show some flashes, but I'm sure he'll also still have some of those games where, he goes out throwing three picks and, to one touchdown. So I would put him in the wild card category. I don't think I think the only place for him to go is up from here, right? So, and I think
Yeah.
that the Panthers at least took a step in the right direction for his success.
I do have more faith in him to have a better season than Daniel Jones. The O line is going to be better, which I think is going to be a huge help. If he can see over the O line, then I think he'll be okay. So, wild card, I'm happy with that.
Cool. Let's see. We got Baker Mayfield up next. Obviously, career resurgence for him this past season. Got the contract extension with the Bucks. Got Mike Evans, great target. Chris Godwin as well. So, he's one of those guys, gets the ball to his playmakers, lets them work, and, it results in some wins for him. So I think, the only tier that we don't have somebody is game manager. And I think Baker's a perfect fit for game manager. I don't see him getting you deep into the playoffs, but I think he can get you to the playoffs if you surround him with some good people like we've seen.
Great take, brother. Great take, brother. I agree 100%. No argument here. No argument here. Game
Finally.
manager. That's exactly what he does. You're right. He gets the ball to his playmakers and they make the plays. I don't think he's a consistent playmaker. I don't think he's a wild card anymore. A couple years ago, maybe. But what we saw last year, and I just expect that growth to continue. I think Baker has a pretty good season. Like you said, maybe slip into the playoffs. Game manager's perfect for him. And to close it out, Derek Carr, who, maybe we'll see Spencer Rattler replace him, go Cox again. Derek Carr, kind of a tricky one. Got bumped out of Vegas. Now with the Saints, mediocre at best season last year. That division down there with the Saints and the Bucks, the Falcons, like it's
Ugly
just
division.
wild. somebody needs to come out and do their thing. I think it's going to be the Falcons this year, and I think we could see the Saints in last place of the division. I wouldn't be opposed to putting him at the bottom.
I don't think he's bottom. I mean, yeah, the Saints didn't really produce like that. I think he's fine in wild card. He's got a big arm. He can make some big plays. Had 25 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, so he's got about a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. So I think he is a little bit more consistent and does deserve a little bit more credit. He does not deserve to be with Daniel Jones, who had a 1-to-3 touchdown, or 1-to-3 touchdown to pick ratio, right? You flip it the other way, you can't have him in the same tier. I would say that, he's going to be a wild card. He can come out, he could potentially make some plays for you. But he can also, definitely go out there and just be airmailing passes all game long. So, just under 4,000 passing yards last season, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, not really doing anything with his legs. So, I would say that he's going to be a wild card going into this season. Definitely getting up there in age a little bit. He's 33 years old, so has some potential for the next few seasons. But I definitely think he's going to be more on the decline. I don't really think we're going to get much more out of him than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, he's got the passion. That's probably a fair place to put him. He's gonna have some really good games, have some bad games, and probably leave them about where they were last season, close to 500, just missing the playoffs. So I'm happy. That finishes us out with 4 elite, 4 consistent playmakers, and 4 wild cards. So kind of a funky looking board here. Any final thoughts on this list? I think it's good. I think we really differed in some areas, and I'm kind of surprised that you were so low on some guys.
Yeah, I
Any
don't
final
know.
thoughts?
This is probably one of the craziest tier lists I've ever seen. Um, we might have some explaining to do come mid-season. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, like
Or we're gonna
why
look really good. Or we're gonna look really good.
Brock Purdy isn't in the MVP category.
Yep. Mhm.
Why we didn't put Spencer Rattler on this list because he took over for Derek Carr and played amazing. I don't know, something like that maybe, but I think overall it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Daniel Jones, I think, is probably going to be spot on. Baker, I think, is going to be right there. Matthew Stafford, I think, will have a pretty good year. So I think overall it's good. I know we differed. I think Brock Purdy could have been a little higher. Jordan Love maybe could have been a little higher. But overall, I think it's good. I think that if this is how it turns out, the playoff race is going to be super interesting because we got 10 quarterbacks here in the top 3 tiers. So we're going to have some teams fighting in the last couple weeks for playoff spots, which is going to be absolutely amazing to watch.
Yeah, no, I think if you're right, if this is the way that the board falls, and this is an accurate representation of how the QB performances are in the NFC, it's going to be the playoff picture is going to be looking way different than it has for the last few seasons. You assume with this, you get the Rams back in, Packers, Eagles, and 49ers are, going to be your favorites going into it. You might see the Cardinals sneak in with a wild card spot. I'm sure the Cowboys are going to get there and lose in the first round again. So, I think this could make for, a really fun season if this is how it works out. I'm excited to see how it goes.
It's kind of ceremonial for the Cowboys to make it in and lose, just kind of part of the playoffs, what we've all come to accept. And I think most people are fine with that, except for those teams
Except
that
for
just
Cowboy
miss out.
fans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm excited to see Jaden Daniels' MVP season too.
There's potential. The weapons are there. His talent's there. If he starts off hot, I say get ready. Buckle up. Commanders fans are going to be in for one of the most exciting seasons that probably they've ever seen. Thank you guys for joining us in another episode of the Sofa Sports Podcast. Until next time.